And like, both my husband and I were like, what the hell, in my midwife brain. I don't just think miscarriage. I literally never felt like that out of touch with who I was inside. So, before you have kids, you've got all these ideas about what you want to do, how you want to give birth, and how many kids do you want to have. Well, yeah, that was me. I wanted to have 5 kids. I'm not kidding. 5. And I wanted to have a water birth, and I wanted to do skin to skin. I didn't want to breastfeed, but I promise we're going to get back to this point later, so just hold your questions for a moment. So I'm going to get comfy right here in front of the doll houses, and yes, there are 2, because heaven forbid you just buy one. But that's not the point of this video. So I found out that I was pregnant around 5 weeks, so very early on. I just knew, like, something felt different. I can't tell you exactly what it was, but I just knew that something was up. I did a test and it was positive. And I have this idea in my mind, if I find out that I'm pregnant, that I'm gonna pack this little box with 2 booties in, or I'm gonna, for my husband, or I'm going to put somewhere like a little gift on his pillow. All these creative ideas to tell him, hey, you're gonna be a daddy. Okay, well, none of that worked out either. I told him the moment he got home. I blurted it out. Sent the poor man in shock. He sat on the kitchen counter for like 15 minutes with his jaw just hanging and thinking, oh, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Obviously didn't know it was twins at that time. So here we are, pregnant, life is carrying on. Around 6 weeks, I started feeling a little bit queasy one morning. And I was actually excited. I thought, geez, I've got my first pregnancy symptom. This is so cool. It's the last time I thought that was cool. But around 9 weeks, my husband was working at night and I started spotting. And I freaked out because obviously early pregnancy, your first thought is, am I having a miscarriage? So I called him. He was working the whole night. He couldn't come home. The next morning, the moment the doctor's room's open, I called him like, please, I need to see you. So my husband came home. We talked about it and we said, how are we going to handle it if it is a miscarriage? How are we going to, I don't know, maybe how are we going to feel about it? It's weird to think about it back, like we didn't know what to expect and we didn't know how we were feeling. Should we be disappointed yet or not yet? I don't know. So we got to the doctor's office and he seemed very chilled. He was like, no, there's many reasons why you can bleed. Yes, it could be a miscarriage, but let's not just put the horse in front of the carriage. Let's just take it one step at a time. He did a quick speculum. He's like, no, he can't find the source of bleeding. And meanwhile, here I'm sitting, I'm like, I just want to know if there's a heartbeat. So as I'm lying there on the table, he did the internal exam and the probe is moving like from left to right and left to right. And I see something and then I see something on the other side. And I was thinking to myself, I think I was in denial because I could see they were on different sides. But I was like, maybe it's just a different angle that he's looking at. And my husband, he's a doctor, he started in the corner going, oh no, 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 because he also obviously realized something is up here. And at that point, the doctor got like the probe to stand still and we could see both bags and the heartbeats going. And my husband nearly collapsed and the doctor was like, congratulations guys, you are having twins. And I was in absolute shock because I was preparing myself for a miscarriage. I was not prepared for twins, not in the least. So I started crying, but like I was happy, but in shock. My husband, I think he grabbed one of my pillows and he sat with his face in a pillow and he was in shock. I think he actually saw the doctor as well. So we went home really, really happy. The first stop we made was at the liquor store for hubby, not for me. He was like, I need a beer. Like, I'm not going to get through this day. But I was already at that point vomiting on a daily basis. My morning sickness was like 6 p.m. and the doctor said it's fine, I can carry on with the tablets that I was on. It didn't really help, but it's the best thing he could give me. But I was vomiting throughout my pregnancy. That was like the one thing that made me really miserable, and it was quite bad for me because I drove like 30 kilometers to work. I don't know what that is in miles, but it was far. And then I would be like vomiting at work during the day. So anyways, at the 12-week scan, which is one of your first anatomy scans, the doctor said, do we want to know the gender? We're like, yeah. And in my heart, I just knew I was a boy mom. Ever since I can remember playing with my dolls and having my 5 kids, it was always, I had boys. And she said, cool, it looks like you're having 2 girls. And like, both my husband and I were like, what the hell? His biggest fear in life was to have 2 girls that he had to protect against this world out there. And I was like, no, I'm a boy mom. I think you're wrong. But we both had a bit of gender disappointment. My husband more than me. because I think he really wanted a boy to like carry on the family name. We confirmed at 16 weeks that it was definitely 2 girls, and he took a little bit more time, but I started feeling like really excited, and I thought, okay, you know what, at least I know about girl stuff and I know everything about periods and if your breasts start to develop and how to deal with mean boys and mean girls in school. So I was pretty okay with that when I started getting like really excited. And you know, Murphy's Law, just as you get really excited, then something happens and I started bleeding again. Obviously, in my midwife brain, I don't just think miscarriage, I think everything else that can go wrong. Freaked out, went to the gynae, and again, there's no source of bleeding. He can see there's fresh blood, babies are fine, heartbeats are nice, there's no placental bleeding, absolutely nothing. And he basically said it's probably just, you know, higher vascularity in pregnancy and you might start bleeding from that. And I mean, obviously you can also start bleeding if you had sex, but that I was pretty much, when I got home, too miserable to do anything, to talk to anyone, because if I talk too much, that stimulation of your vocal cords, that triggered my gag reflex. I don't know if there's anyone that can relate to that, but that was a whole new level of feeling gaggy. Nausea and vomiting in pregnancy, that's probably the single biggest reason why I am too scared to ever get pregnant again. I'm still not out of time, but I'm so scared because mentally that completely broke me. Like, I hate vomiting. I think most people do. But you know, there's a whole build up and, are you gonna vomit? Are you not? And you know, if you have a hangover, you vomit and you feel better because all of that stuff's out. If you're pregnant, you don't feel better. So you know, you feel bad, you vomit, and you go back to feeling bad again. So fast forward a little bit until about 24 weeks, and I started, everything was kind of okay until that time, except now the nausea. I had a little bit of increased blood sugar, so I was just monitoring what I ate. And around 24 weeks, I started having lovely water retention. My feet went from like normal to, and it stayed there until my girls were born. And oh my word, that was tough for me because I liked my feet and I liked my legs. I struggled a lot with my self-image from around 24 weeks when all the swelling kicked in, because it was not just my feet, it was my face, just everywhere. And here you can see I'm wearing those beautiful pressure stockings just to keep the swelling down a little bit. But that was also a mission to get on past this like big belly here. But yeah, so this is around 25 weeks, and you know how many comments I got here asking me, oh, you know, it's any day now. You know, as much as I feel like I'm sounding very ungrateful, I absolutely enjoyed the kicks. It was like the highlight. I want to show you one of these little videos that I took. I think I'm around 3 weeks here, if I remember correctly. And you know, I was really running out of lung space, so you can see I'm breathing really fast, but I was trying to capture the movement of my girls. The one was lying on the left and the other one was lying on the right. You know, twins can lie in all different positions. This is just the way my girls were lying, and you can see like the little foot that kicks here and my cat here that's just trying to give me some emotional support. So the movement was really amazing, especially 2 at the same time, but I did not feel comfortable in my own skin. I was in 2 minds whether I wanted to do the maternity shoot, and we ended up doing it. And it's really difficult for me to put this photo on here because I remember this day as if it's yesterday, and how I felt taking the pictures, and my whole face felt stiff from all the water retention. Like, the weight I gained was all water retention. I mean, I didn't really eat, and I couldn't look at these maternity pictures until probably months after my girls were born. I wanted to take them for the memories, but I was so uncomfortable with my own image, like the whole self-image. I didn't feel like a pretty pregnant woman. I didn't feel like I was glowing. I didn't feel beautiful. I felt like a cow, or I don't know, cow is still small, like an elephant, no, like a whale. I felt like a whale. It was not my face. The picture that I see here, this was not me. So it was a friend who took the pictures, and I said to her, thank you, paid her, and I didn't look at the pictures until months after my girls were born, and I felt like myself again, and I could look at the pictures and say, thank goodness I don't look like that anymore. And you know, for some people it's not that big of an issue. For others, it's maybe a bigger issue, but I found that really, really tough. I literally never felt like that out of touch with who I was inside versus what I looked like on the outside. That was, yeah. Anyways, let's move on. So we did the maternity shoot at 31 weeks, and probably like 2 days later, I started having Braxton Hicks contractions. They're quite intense and quite regular, so we went in and I got a shot in case I was going to preterm labor, but the doctor said I must just like chill at home. And for anybody who might ever tell you that wax and peaks contractions are not painful, you have my full permission to tell them to go fly, because man, they're not fun. Okay, they're not like proper contractions that I had before the girls were born, but this was also not particularly fun. So here I was supposed to chill, but I was super stressed about work because I was supposed to go on unpaid maternity leave, and I wanted 4 months. I would get 3 months if I took all of my leave for the last month. So I didn't take leave over December, which is when we normally take most of our leave, and I worked until the very last moment that I could, and I was back in January, like the first day that we opened. I was literally the only person in the office, but I didn't want to take my leave days, so I did not really chill. That was on the Tuesday. By the Friday, I got so sick and tired, I told the receptionist, listen, I'm not feeling well, I'm going to see the doctor. That was a complete lie, but someone heard me, and I'm sorry about the lie, but I was really sick and tired because that Sunday my girls were born. So I was technically not lying, but I think I was a little bit punished for the lie. But either way, what happened was on the Sunday night, again, every single time something happened, like I was bleeding or I went into labor, my husband was at work. So he's at work, I'm home alone, and I sit down to pee, and the next moment, as I'm sitting, I hear a little pop and waterfalls. I was just like, what the hell? A little bit still in denial, but in the back of my mind, I knew what that sound meant, and I was torn between the feelings of, oh crap, this is too early. I was 33 weeks at that point, and going like, thank goodness they're gonna get out, because I was huge and I was uncomfortable and I was hot. We had like 38, 39 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that's in Fahrenheit. I will put it on the screen here if you need to compare. So I was not having fun in this heat. So I was very relieved at the same time. Okay, so there's a lot to share here, and I thought instead of making this one long ass video, I am just going to rather break it up into 2, and then I will make the next one about the birth. So I don't know when this will be uploaded, but if there's a video here somewhere on this section here, it means I've already uploaded the second one about the birth. If it is not here, it means just give me like a week or so, then it's gonna be here, and then you can follow the rest of my story. I would love to hear what your story was like. Everyone's story deserves to be told. So please feel free to let me know in the comments, what was your experience? Was there anything that sounded familiar to you, or nothing at all? And if you are currently pregnant, you should probably subscribe, because I have a ton of videos in the making that is designed to basically take your hand throughout this journey, and that you always have someone cheering for you on the side. Thank you for watching.